Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here tonight. Basically, I made a video on my lunch today. This story basically consumed my whole lunch. I basically kept seeing people tweet about this during my lunch, and I got to the point where I tweeted this story, but I forgot about my lunch. I had stuck my lunch in the microwave, got so consumed with looking at tweets and trying to look up information to see what was out there about Jeff Jarrett, and I never got my lunch out of the microwave. I forgot about it in there. For 5 hours before I was packing up my stuff to leave for the rest of the day, and I was trying to find out where my Tupperware was because I didn't want my wife to kick my ass. Had to go upstairs and it was still in the microwave. Nobody had used it since. But Jeff Jarrett, the rumors were running rampant that he was going to be making a return to TNA Impact. Most people were thinking that it was going to be some sort of a merger, or maybe Jeff Jarrett just outright buying TNA. It turns out that we'll have to wait and see. Definitely, I really can't wait to hear the Wrestling Observer tonight with Dave Meltzer to see if he knows any sort of inside information about how this came down. It seemed that when Jeff Jarrett was tweeting his tweets earlier today with all of his sort of, sort of puzzles about a big deal going down, I really didn't think it was about him being signed to a deal to wrestle for TNA and appear on the show tonight, as well as Slammiversary. This definitely is sort of a sticky situation, but Jeff Jarrett does make his return as well with Karen Angle on the Impact show tonight. It was taped to be live, so it was on a short delay, but it wasn't on a big delay. Jarrett comes out, basically says that he's going to be in the match. He is the King of the Mountain, and it's hard to do a King of the Mountain match without the man itself. Why Dixie Carter would pick up the phone and call Jeff Jarrett, I'm still not sure. I understand that when they announced that the King of the Mountain match would be making its return, my first thought was this was kind of petty. That Jeff Jarrett, he had started running shows. He did the six-sided ring. Maybe Dixie Carter and TNA felt this was sort of a jab at them. The six-sided ring was their sort of gimmick in the United States, and they sort of wanted it to be theirs. So all of a sudden they pull the King of the Mountain match, out of the closet. It's a match that hasn't been used in TNA since 2009, and they called Jeff Jarrett and they asked him to be in there. I don't know. It makes it a sort of a fun, weird show. Global Force Wrestling is a company that's trying to break ground in wrestling. It's trying to really grab itself and lift it off. As of right now, they're just doing these house shows at baseball stadiums. It doesn't look like they were attracting a lot of fans at them, but honestly, if they were in my area, I would be there. And definitely, I tweet Jeff Jarrett at least once a week, telling him to come to Sacramento, California, come to Raleigh Field. We have probably one of the nicest minor league facilities in all of minor league baseball. We definitely bring in the largest crowds in minor league. All of the minor leagues, it's told to us that we always have the largest attendance for the season. So, I mean, if they're trying to build towards, baseball fans coming to the wrestling show, this would be one of the nicest places to do it. But Jeff Jarrett right now is running what is sort of known, sort of in my base, is like a glorified indie show. They don't have television. They're going to be filming a pilot to try and get on television, and once they're able to get on television, who knows if they're even able to keep the roster of people that they have. I remember things were being kicked around that basically before they were even going to try and get an actual televised wrestling show, he was going to try and get a reality show that was going to follow around the wrestlers and try and see the building blocks of a wrestling company, so that way when the wrestling company actually launched, you would be connected to it and you'd be seeing these stars wrestle on these independent shows, and Jeff trying to build up his company, and you'd be invested in it. You felt like you put all this time watching this reality show, that now you'd be invested in this company, and you'd buy the tickets, you'd buy the t-shirts, and you'd be following these wrestlers because of this reality show. If I'm Jeff Jarrett, I show up to fucking Slammiversary in just straight up Global Force gear. I mean, I'd be wearing the t-shirts. I'd have the name on my trunks. I'd be carrying the Global Force guitar. I would be trying to get myself over as much as possible. You know that he's going to be trying to get that televised deal with almost anybody. I thought that if this sale was going through and Jeff Jarrett was going to be buying TNA Wrestling, the most important thing that would be going along with it is the television. This is the one thing that sunk the WCW deal. Even when WCW was going down, Eric Bischoff was trying, up into the last minute to try and buy this company. The company that basically had sent him away twice. He was so invested into this company, it was almost like it was everything he put into it. He just had to have it. That's the same thing I feel about Jeff Jarrett, is that once TBS and TNT both pulled it and said there would be no wrestling, no WCW, no other wrestling on the Turner stations, it was done. Bischoff, the people pulled out. There's nothing to buy here. Vince ended up, probably making millions off of it by buying the library, being able to come out with, compilations as well as DVDs of, WCW footage, mixed with WWE footage, and it sort of became the stepping ground to what the network is today. Because without the WCW and ECW footage, I know that they would have a lot of footage with WWE, but I don't know if it'd be worth as much. When people keep asking for more to be added to the network, they want more nitros, they want more WCW. You can see that they're pouring out WCW DVDs every year. Best of Nitro, Goldberg, this, that, and the other. So there's a clamoring for old wrestling that people want to see, because I think a lot of people don't really like what they see when they watch Raw today, so they want to clamor on to when the glory days, the good times in wrestling were. But Jarrett being on the show tonight, being on Slammiversary, it is a weird situation. If it reminds me of anything, it reminds me of a fun time in wrestling when a WWE wrestler beat a WCW wrestler inside of an ECW ring for an ECW title. Mike Awesome, who was the ECW champion, he signed a deal to go to WCW. WCW was trying to protect their interests that they had just invested in, but ECW was suing for signing a contracted wrestler who was still their champion, so WCW had to send the guy back to lose one show, so it had to be worked out. They couldn't have him lose to anybody. They needed him to lose to a star, so ECW was able to contact WWE, who sent them a past champion who was Taz. Taz showed up, worked the one night there, beat Awesome. Awesome didn't even dress in the locker room. Awesome dressed in a car. He didn't even come down through the locker room. He came basically in like he had bought a ticket, walked all the way down, jumped the guardrail, jumped into the ring, wrestled the match for about 2 minutes, dropped the belt, and left the same way he came in. Taz would show up on a ECW show and drop the championship to Tommy Dreamer, and all was forgiven, basically. I don't know. I don't think Jarrett has a chance to win this title, but it's going to be fun seeing him out there, even if it's just one last time.